We began as wanderers, and we are wanderers still.
Good morning, TFR.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Alan. I like Ironworx because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zach. It's like sitting in your front room having a cosy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zach, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Enjoy the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose of iron in the morning? Listen to the Ironworx on TFR.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Iron Realm Media is the best on the planet. To this show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
Do you like listening to space letters from Never a Straight Answer? Then tune in to the Ironworx with Zach, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the Ironworx and become an Iron Scout.
Father, the sleeper has awakened!
Mecca lecca hi, mecca hiney ho.
And welcome to the Ironworx right here on Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com.
It is Tuesday, my dudes.
And it is Tuesday. It's not Tuesday, my dudes. It's Friday, my dudes.
Thank God it's
That's the button I was looking for. And as you may have guessed incorrectly, I am not joined by three of my very good friends and co-hosts this morning. We are down a man. Shout out to Mr. Walter Johnson, who is resting comfortably, fingers crossed. And I know he's got a busy day today and needed to get some extra sleep in, so shout out to Walter. In the meantime, let's say hello to Mr. Zachary Zabala. You may know him as Good Times for All over there on the YouTubes. Zach, happy Friday.
Hey, Josh, happy Friday. Hope all is well. Had a good few days. I guess the midweek we might call it. Helped neighbors on the left, I think Wednesday, neighbors on the right yesterday. Yeah, it was a good day. Good. Got some stuff done. Gardens. I don't really want to talk about the garden. I've been picking on my garden a lot lately and being negative about it, and I don't want to do that anymore. So plants, they're beautiful. I'll say that. The plants are beautiful, and I love them all.
That's right. They're all unique. Nothing will ever live up to your full expectations, Zach. You just have to take them for what they are as they come.
Yep.
Maybe it had nothing to do with you at all.
Well, it's not their fault
That's
either,
right.
though. It is what it is.
No, it's not.
So they're what? They're not growing as well as you want, or what?
No. I don't know if I did this by putting out the notion that they're not going to do good because I was told they're not going to do good because the soil isn't quite soil. It's wood chips. So, I don't know. But yeah, I just had, I was giving it negative thoughts the whole time. And yeah, I don't know. Isn't my worst garden, though. The first year of FE. Man, I really lacked on my garden. Bad. 2015.
It does take time.
Yeah, to get it started. I mean, my very first year of gardening, I didn't do that great because I didn't know what I was doing. I planted everything way too close. And then, 2015, I was watching flat earth videos and arguing with trolls instead of being out in my garden getting all the work done. So it was kind of disheartening that I was trying to get back into it and things weren't just, going. But I don't have Indiana black soil anymore. I got to realize that. Yeah, I lived
Yeah,
in like
when I first turned over or started my farm, I basically, got the rotary hoe, turned it over, and made the couple of beds, and I was super stoked. Planted a heap of Comet Sooner and Rocket, and it was an amazing crop. I mean, I had like, I don't know, something like 15 garbage bags of this Comet Sooner, and I had nowhere to sell it. I ended up washing it in my laundry, just in a small sink, which took me hours.
Forever, I bet.
Yeah, a long time. And then I put it in I hired a cool room so I could stick it in that, because I didn't yet have a cool room that was up and working, and obviously didn't have enough fridge space for it. But yeah, it all come at once, and it took me by surprise. But when you first initially have that soil that's been pretty much untouched for ages, as soon as you turn it over and aerate it, it's got all the microorganisms just go mental in it.
Yeah.
So, but it was still like pretty good. But after that, the soil needed. It's like that first crop just took everything that was in that soil, and I had to keep slowly building it up over time to get it right.
So how about you, Josh? How was your last couple days?
It's been nice and quiet. Not much going on at all. Just taking care of the girls, getting them lined up, fleshed out. They're close to the end of their life cycle. I think they've only got a few weeks left, if that even. I got to go find what do they call those? What did Sherlock Holmes carry to look for clues? That's a magnifying glass. You don't look for clues with a pipe.
The special hat.
No, I need to get a loop or a magnifying glass or something so that I can start checking out those trichomes, so I know exactly when it is to start drying out. Other than that, it's been nominal. Work is work is work is work. So that's something.
Yeah, I am getting excited for Flattoberfest. It's like every time I see a commercial or people talking about it, you need to get to one of these, Josh.
Man, don't I know it.
I think it definitely needs to be put into your cards that Josh needs to make it to one of these for sure soon.
Well, it's interesting because I'm pretty centrally located. I'm surprised there's not more near me, being that I'm sort of in the middle of the U.S.
Yeah. You need a event planner near you.
I would.
Like I have.
Or I need to get off my lazy ass and plan an event myself.
Yeah, it's definitely not something for a lazy person. I don't know how Karen B does it.
Nor I.
She says it's getting easier though. Once you kind of get to know, certain vendors and people like that, it really just becomes more or less making a phone call after you've done it a few times.
And I imagine it's just like anything else. It just takes a bit of repetition before you can really get down what it is you're aiming to do. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's got the people there anyway, so she can call on those people to make the show for us, so that's handy.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the biggest thing. You got to be able to, invite a few people that'll bring in some people. It's that easy. Yeah, I bet if you put something together and asked a few people, Josh, I bet people would come. If you build it, they will come, Josh.
I did do a meetup here a few years ago. And it's not It's not like nobody came. We did have people come. They just, well, it was two people came. A fella and his wife. And they drove in from Illinois. I did it at my work at the time because I was working at a restaurant. So I just cordoned off a little corner booth and brought in, well, pretty much my entire studio at that time, which consisted little more of a laptop and a microphone. But I brought it all in and set up the television and had like a slideshow of flat earth stuff going on and just hanging out there in the restaurant, waiting for people to show up by myself. But no, it was still a good time.
Yeah. A few years ago, though, it was a lot more taboo, you know, to go to a flat earth anything. So I bet if you did it now, it'd be different.
Yeah, there's a good chance, I suppose. Christ, at this point, I don't know where I would find the time.
Yeah, I do hear that. You are a busy man.
Yeah.
So work is work, right?
Nothing
is. Exciting. No insights on, World War III or anything like that?
Nope, not as of yet. Nothing beyond the expected cut in the military spending now that they've got the Democrats in the office.
I don't get that.
Those that care.
Whenever a Democrat is in office, they cut military funding, but then they go to war, too.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't... Yeah, it's weird. They say that the Republicans, they're the warmongers, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But yet, when's the last time we had a Democrat in office that didn't take us into a war? That'd have to be before Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, war is just... That's what our country runs on, pretty much. Is war now.
It's a military-industrial complex. No doubt.
It really is. It really is. They have the trifecta. Rome is running the whole religious aspect of the Western world. England runs the financial sector, and we're the stick. People get out of line, and they throw the U.S. at them, and we go hit them with our stick.
That's right. The spiritual carrot, the physical carrot, and then the stick should you need some prodding.
Isn't everything moving to China, though? Is it just a narrative, or is that actually happening?
I suspect
Seems
it's just
like
a
it
narrative.
is.
Would be my guess is just a narrative.
They do have most of the gold. It's another thing. They've sold back a lot of their treasuries.
I mean, how much gold do they have? And
They need all that gold to make all our computer parts.
But is that their word? You're saying China said we've got lots of gold, and you're like, oh shit, China says they got lots of gold? Because they're not the most trustworthy people, from what I understand.
No, it's actually not really that. They don't give away very much at all. Like, they have their own mines and things in their country, but none of it gets sold outside their country. So,
and how much gold is there? Just in general, like if China's got a lot of it, then I mean, we've got an idea of how much there is to begin with.
Heaps.
I don't think they have a clue how much gold there is. I don't think they have a clue.
And it does lead us back to the conversation is, well, so what? Incas had lots of gold. What good did it do them?
Yeah,
well,
the richest man in history
really
was an African warlord, tribal warlord. Well, not tribal. I mean, it was a huge, enormous empire. But he was supposedly the richest man. He had more gold at one time than anybody in history.
Okay, but what makes that? how does that make him rich?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand why gold is so, I mean, I understand it's great for electronics and things like that, but besides electronics, you can't make weapons out of it.
It's a great superconductor, but beyond that, what the fuck is the point?
Yeah, I don't understand it through history. Some people say they used gold and silver because it was the most useless metal, because they couldn't make weapons out of it because they were,
so soft.
So soft, yeah. It wasn't something that you did make weapons out of. So it was more of an ornamental type of metal than an actual. Now, that's according to his story. We all know the people before us obviously knew a lot more than we do, and probably knew a lot more about gold than we do. But according to his story, they said they used to make coins out of gold and silver because it was worthless to make weapons out of. It was too soft. So they turned into currency. I don't know how true that is.
Doesn't make any sense. We need to carry this stuff around. So we need to be able to carry around some representation of our money. So let's make it out of the heaviest fucking thing we can find. And you just stick that in your pocket and carry that around. Because that's not inconvenient.
It also doesn't degrade, though. That's the other thing about those two. They don't really degrade so easy. But, the only reason I bring it up is because, we're basically running on a fiat nothing currency. So when that hyperinflates, people will seem to run to real wealth or real commodities. Thing that's, has scarcity and all that sort of thing. So, whoever basically holds or hoards all that sort of, has their war chest, whether it be gold, silver, or iron, or whatever other sort of things that people need, then they end up being on top through these sort of currency crises. But other than that, they may have another trick up their sleeve, trying to bring in a digital dollar, which I don't think's really going to take off, their own cryptocurrency type bullshit. I don't think that's going to go anywhere.
Well, no, that's the thing with the whole crypto thing is they still have control of it. You are still dependent upon them for electricity and the internet for this to work. They could take it away and it not even be their fault. They could blame it on some rogue,
Ooh, sorry,
terrorist
we got
group
attacked again. It was
Yep. Sorry. Internet's gone for 6 months.
Damn Russia.
It's going to take us forever to rebuild it back up. Yeah, I mean, that could happen. And if everybody had fiat currency at that time and there was no more fiat money, it would get real ugly real quick. So yeah, I don't think they can do the whole fiat currency thing.
Well, not how they want it. They'll have a cryptocurrency that doesn't have a limit to it, so it's basically exactly the same as the fiat currency that we're using now, and it hasn't got all these other things that actually make it somewhat valuable and trustworthy. So they won't have any of that included in it.
They would have needed to do that like years ago, though. There's enough people now that understand the way that cryptos work and blockchain works that you just can't have an unlimited supply, because that's exactly what we're having now. There's enough people that realize that there's got to be some sort of way to keep it in check. That's the only thing that makes it different than the fiat currency we have now, is its sort of self-limiting factors.
Yep, exactly. And that's why I don't think that they'll get away with whatever it is they sort of hold up as their new currency or whatever it is. I just think it's going to be, at the end of the day, they could just try and back things on gold and things like that. But, the States doesn't really even have gold. So I don't know.
Yeah, they might
what their
go around.
little plan is. They got a plan, though.
Yeah,
They'll have a plan.
Again, like they did. What was that? 1912? Was that when they went around and gathered all the gold from everybody, or was that closer to 1932?
I think it was closer to 32. I do believe it was closer to
Yeah.
32.
After the Depression, they went around door to door and, oh, we'll buy your gold from you. We'll give you $20 an ounce. And then, 3 years later, it was $200 an ounce.
Yeah, they screwed them over for sure.
Yeah. I could see that happening again. I don't see people selling their gold to the government, though.
Yeah, they will.
I think that's
Look,
probably one of the reasons why they had to go door to door, that little intimidation factor of having a government official at your door, you know?
I don't think there's ever really been an unsuccessful gun buyback program set up by the government where they're trying to get guns off the streets. So they set up the cops and you come and drop your guns off to the police and they'll give you cash for them. And what's called a gun buyback program from the government, as if they're buying their guns back from you, as if they sold them to you in the first place and now they're just buying them back from you.
Yeah.
And people will come with trunk loads full of guns to sell pennies on the dollar to the government because they're stupid, which is why I don't think you'll be able to initiate any sort of national cryptocurrency, because people are not going to understand the blockchain. They're not going to understand the very basics of how cryptos work. So I don't think they'd be able to do it. I mean, shit, I don't understand the very basics of how cryptos work.
Yes, I say screw gold, get seeds, land, and guns.
Mm-hmm.
Never lose value.
Get a still.
Always have value.
Learn how to brew and distill alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Get a gasifier. Just burn some wood. Make your own fuel. There's a bunch of little backyard tinkerer stuff you could build yourself to where if things get crazy and out of control, you could still be somewhat on a type of a grid system almost. It may not be, electricity to run everything, but you can build the stuff yourself and get along during, the great apocalypse or whatever you want to call it.
Well, I'd say I agree. Screw gold, get silver, get garden stuff, whatever you need for a garden, and a metal lathe. Because you can make little bits and pieces if stuff breaks down.
Yeah,
that's my next thing.
I was
day
talking
I'll
to
have
my mom.
a little workshop.
I was talking to my ma yesterday about the smartest people I've ever met. And I've got to talk to all kinds, especially since Flat Earth. I've met so many just intelligent, very wise people. But still, the smartest people I've ever met were farmers. These from very young ages. My mom was talking about, because she worked at a daycare and she used to babysit, young kids from like infants to 4-year-olds. And she said the ones that were farm kids, since we did live a very rural area, she had a few of them that were, they would go out on the combines with their dad at like 3 years old, 4 years old. She said those children now that are they're just graduating high school and stuff like that now, the smartest ones are the ones that didn't do great in school, could care less about school, but now are already running their own farms like a year or two out of high school. Farmers, it's not like an engineer who just plans something out and then sends it along to somebody else. A farmer starts from point A and goes all the way through to Z and does every step in between. They do all of it. So to be a farmer, you really have to know a lot of different stuff, how to keep all that equipment running. And it's not just about putting seeds in the ground. There's a lot to do with when you have a big farm. And yeah, she said some of these children were teaching her stuff. She'd have one, Wyatt was his name, and they'd have show and tell, and he'd bring in farm stuff every week. And my mom would always make him go last so she could learn something from him. because by the end, all the children are quiet and paying attention, and she got to actually sit and listen. So that was like he was always like the headliner of show and tell. My mom was saying yesterday, but yeah, she couldn't even remember all the stuff that this child, 4 years old, had taught her. And it's true, to be a farmer, it's not like something you go to school to be. You start learning like as soon as you start to walk. You're, out there with dad and grandpa on the combines, and when they're out there fixing the tractor, you're standing there right next to them looking. You may be only 4 years old, but you're absorbing all that knowledge on how they do all that stuff. Yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing. It really is. But I think that's going to do it for the first segment here of the Ironworx, right here on Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. Josh, Zach, and Lucas hanging out with you, missing Walt this morning. Shout out to everybody there in chat. Be sure you stick around because we will be right back after these messages.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Anne, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey folks, guess what the number one phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea. We love this tea. Time after time, week after week, we love this tea. Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death. This is Uncle Walt from the Ironworx. Josh, Corey, and I have chosen to look at life with no fear. No fear of the unknown. No fear of questions about the supposedly well-known. No fear of ridicule for thinking outside the familiar fool's lines. No fear of the boot on the neck of those refusing the party line. No fear of taking on those so convinced of their beliefs they would sooner drink the Kool-Aid than believe they've been fools made. In this world filled with me too, cattle think, can truth's protective layers be peeled back to show the tender, juicy pink? Are we all just grist for the mill? Souls sold against our will, or is that just how it feels? When you're filled to the rim with trivialities so fear-filled and grim, break clear of the fear right here. Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 a.m. on TFR. Josh and I and you will hammer out the impurities of technology-driven groupthink, fold in a dash of logic, and quench it all with a bit of absurdity. The Ironworx. Break clear of the fear.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR. Frequency Radio.
wakey.
And welcome back to the second segment of the first half of the Ironworx right here on Truth Frequency Radio. TFRlive.com being simulcast to YouTube, DLive, Odyssey, Facebook, Twitter. I don't know. There's a few others. We're out there. Shout out to everybody in chat. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. We really appreciate your presence here each and every show. We are sans Walter this morning, though, as he's got a busy day and a busy weekend ahead of him, so he needed a little extra sleep. I think he's been out running the streets, though. He and Zach. Doing missions.
No, I wish that was the issue. I think it's more the kittens are becoming cats. And the houses, yeah. So instead of 3 cute kittens and mama, it's more like having 4 cats now.
Yeah.
So it's he said he thinks it's about time to start thinning the herd out there around the house a little bit. And he knows a few people that want cats, so it shouldn't be too hard, but I know how that goes. Once the kittens start really getting active and getting more independent from mom, it starts turning into a madhouse. Because they're still kittens, they're still very playful and inquisitive, and they want to find everything and look at everything. And yeah, it's a lot. Having 4 of them running around, that's a lot to handle.
Even one kitten with a little bit of energy who goes tearing around the house, climbing up the curtains, running up your pant leg, jumping on the tables, doing everything else, and then just falling down asleep for about 3 minutes and then waking up and doing it all over again. I mean, kittens are a handful. I really do not care for kittens. I love cats, don't get me wrong, but kittens are a pain in the ass. But I'm the same way with puppies. I dislike puppies too. Puppies and kittens suck.
You're evil.
You know what? Puppies, kittens, and kids. God damn it.
Just being realistic.
Rose would have a fit right now. Have you seen the names of all of her videos lately? Mm-hmm. She's trying to get through the YouTube algorithms. So she always put kittens and puppies giving you hugs and kisses to make you feel better or something like that. That'll be the name of her the video. So yeah, I think Rose would disagree with you about the puppies and kittens.
Well,
no, but I definitely understand 100% wholeheartedly. Yeah, they can be a handful for sure.
Well, try 3 kids.
That's your own fault.
Yeah, I'll take a little kitten and a puppy over 3 kids that fight back at you.
That's awesome. So Liz was asking in chat, what's going on over there in Australia? You guys shut down again? Over 11 cases? They shut down the whole country? Or is that just areas of it are shut down? Or are you under lockdown again now?
No, I don't. Well, I see people wearing masks still. Look, I'm pretty bad at this because I actually don't watch any mainstream stuff, so I don't actually know what they're promoting and what bullshit, because I can't handle it. It's just, they're fucking lunatics. But I heard that there was in Sydney or something like that. Maybe there was one tourist there or something, so they're shutting down Sydney. Yeah, Liz says Sydney plus other areas. So, yeah, that sounds about right, doesn't it? What can you do? I mean, nothing's been done yet to actually, take down these people that are implementing this bullshit. So let's just sit back and ride it out, I guess.
Well, yeah, they still have a lot of people under their spell. Talking to my mom, listening to her talk, I just bite my tongue and let her kind of vent. But yeah, she is so towing the mainstream narrative line. It's just like, oh, Mom, come on. I just don't want to argue with her anymore. We've argued and argued and argued and argued and argued. She got her shots. It is what it is. I'm not going to start wars over. I'm just going to love her for as long as I have to love her. If she needs to vent about stuff and get it off her chest, I'll sit there and listen. I don't agree with her, but yeah, it sucks, man. It really sucks. Seeing, people and care about that just buy into all this bullshit. If you try to bring anything up about it, it's like you're the bad guy because you're, taking away their illusion somehow, trying to take away their illusion. I don't know. It sucks.
I think it's
so
part
they
of this
definitely got their claws in people still.
too much television. Everybody is the star of their own movie, and every good thing they do is towards that happy ending that's going to wrap up here in about an hour and a half. And everything is perpetuating this greater good that's going to all wrap up in a nice little bow with a moral to the story at the end. And I think people will do that right to the ground.
Well, yeah, my mom's been vaccinated and she still wears the mask just to be safe. It's like, then why did you go get vaccinated?
Because in the end, we're going to beat this COVID and we're going to come out victorious and on top. Roll credits.
It's infuriating. Again,
obviously haven't seen Braveheart then, Maybe they should watch that one a few more times.
Yeah, they should. And listen real close to what he screams at the end.
Yeah, I get pumped. I get chills. I almost cry every time still when I see that. I cry at the end there, and then the part where he gives the first speech. I think it wasn't Bannockburn. I forget where they met the English the first time, according to his story. But he goes out there and tells them about, yeah, if you run, you'll live. But if you fight, you may die. But would you be willing to trade, or lying in your bed many years from now, would you be willing to trade every day from this one to that for one chance to go tell your enemies that you can take our lives, but you will never take our freedom? Oh, I got chills just now. I know I didn't do the voice. I was hearing the voice as I was saying it. Yeah, that's, man, powerful words. First time I heard that changed my life.
Totally should have done the voice.
Well, even when you say that, it's at least those people recognize their enemy. I mean, that's after battle, isn't it? Like where we are now, we don't even recognize the enemy for most of it.
No, they defend their enemy like they're like they have Stockholm syndrome almost. And the enemy's sitting there with a gun to their head, holding them as a human shield, and they're like, please don't hurt them. What are you doing? You're crazy. They're good people. They're helping me.
Yeah, they call that patriotism now.
Gosh. Yeah, it's amazing how one person's point of view can differ so greatly. Growing up, seeing the same stuff, living in the same house even, seeing almost the exact same things and drawing a totally different conclusion. A polar opposite even. Man, God is a prankster, man. He really is.
Have you seen a
giraffe? Just a show. Yeah, it's just a show. Like South Park said, there's really a planet of zebras out there somewhere, a planet of alligators, a planet of all these different things, and Earth is just where they took all these different planet species and threw them all into one and made a TV show out of it.
Yeah, I just think honestly, I just think the TV is the real weapon, and then it's just the rest of it's just a money game. That's all it is. It's like we have these guys have all the money, and then you've got the biggest weapon of all, TV, change the minds of the masses, and then that's pretty much it. It's done. Boil it down to its simplest form.
Do you know, have you ever seen that show called News Radio? It's where Joe Rogan got his start way back in the day. I found that one. I've been looking for it. I thought it was called Talk Radio. And I love the owner on that show. He was just hilarious. So I started watching it again. And that was what TV was supposed to be like. They could say things, you know. Joe Rogan, I was watching one yesterday. He was like, "Oh, that's gay, dude. You can't say that now."
Unless you are gay, I understand, as the way I understand it. Then you can call things gay or straight. But if you're straight, then you really don't get
that's gay.
Isn't that gay? That's so gay.
Yeah, it was gay.
But yeah, it's little things like that. Those are the things I miss. And it's not that I'm some, homophobe or something like that, but it's just a word, folks. And, they were allowed to say these things on TV at one time. They were allowed to, it's weird how crazy things have gotten so quickly.
And I'm not transphobic. I'm not homophobic. I'm not arachnophobic. There's all sorts of phobics. I don't really have a whole lot of irrational fears, but especially not of gay people or trans people.
Yeah. I'm ocean phobic, if that's a word.
I'm sure it is. But again, I think hydrophobic is...
I'm not scared of water.
Rabid.
I
think that's rabies. That's what they call rabies. Hydrophobia.
Lots and lots of water. Kellum, there is so gay, and then there is totally gay.
That's what I hear from guys coming out of prison anyway.
We're going to hell. It's all right. We'll have good company.
Hell? Everyone's going to hell. That's just the ground.
Yeah, that is so gay, Stephen. You're right.
Yeah. He's definitely phobic.
He must be. Total homophobe. Sitting up there in his chair, looking down on everybody.
Is that why they got rid of him?
Blinking his eye angrily at the gay people. Uh-huh.
He wouldn't get on board. Stephen Hawking, folks. The original OG flat earther. A lot of people don't know that.
He's a mystery man, isn't he? He's got so many different sort of characters by the sound of it, especially when he's promoting flat earth. What?
Well, yeah, no, he was. When he got out of college, his first college, where did he go? Cambridge and one of the other really prestigious older universities over there. When he graduated from the first one, he was only like 17, 18, getting out of college as a physicist, not an astrophysicist, but a physicist. And he promoted what he called his flat universe theory. He said, we are living on a plane that has another plane above it. The one above is cold, the one underneath is hot, and we are living on the crust that is forming in between the two. He showed a petri dish full of water with little islands sticking out of it, and he said, that's where we live. This was in a PBS article back in 2016. It was still able to be found. In the article, it said, of course, Stephen Hawking was proven wrong because boats go over the curve and blah, 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 all the stupid nonsense that we're told. But Stephen Hawking, one of the smartest individuals that, they knew of, especially at a young age, they knew he was very intelligent. And he came to the conclusion the Earth was flat, not a spinning ball. And then he started doing astrophysics and ended up in the chair and started writing about black holes and this and that. And you can find all those papers online. All his college papers on black holes and this and that and yada, yada, yada. Go out there and try to find a paper written by Stephen Hawking before 1965. Good luck. I searched for hours and hours and hours, scouring all different kinds of obscure places to look for things like this, even at the actual university websites, and you can't find anything. Why is it one of the smartest people that we know of at a very young age? I mean, you would keep his high school papers.
Yep. His finger paintings he did as a child.
Exactly. You would have everything. If you knew he was that super genius and he did actually go on to do all this stuff, they would have kept everything. But you cannot find one paper written from his first university where he would say that the Earth was flat. Just saying.
They switched him. You tell us, Stephen.
He likes the way I talk, and I like the way he talks.
Yeah, so I don't know. And was that a warning? What they did to him a warning? I don't know.
Don't know.
I mean, usually you would just kill people like that, that threaten them like that. But, or maybe he really did have some disease back then, degenerative disease, and they just ran with it.
I know I've said before that there's lots of things in that first remake of the X-Files television series, but maybe it wasn't the X-Files, but for some reason I'm thinking of there was a TV show out there. Sorry, see, I opened my mouth before I put too much thought into what I was going to actually say. There's something out there that's triggering my mind that there was a TV show that sort of showed the government either putting them in a wheelchair or keeping them in a wheelchair or... Damn it, I said it, now it's gone and I'm going to have to think really hard to come up with it.
So it's like the old John Lennon switcheroo. Is that what we're sort of thinking? Or you reckon
if you look,
it was the same dude the whole way through?
Nah, the physical features, I think, are almost undeniable. If you put them in order, it's hard to deny that there's different people in that chair.
I mean, for sure. Yeah. The teeth change, the eyes change. So much stuff changes. The ears, all these indicators like fingerprints almost that we have, your ears especially, are different. And your ear doesn't just change its shape. It might get a little saggy as you get older, but, the curves and all that stuff, it's like a fingerprint. Yeah, it's definitely not just one person.
Yeah, so, you could only imagine what how the flat Earth would have progressed if it was released maybe 10, 20 years earlier than it has been. I mean, imagine that.
Yeah. Well, there was a big controversy back then in the 60s going on. That was a big part of it. That's when NASA was being this and that and yada, yada, yada. Supposedly, well, I've seen a NASA document where they mention the flat earthers. They say this will shut all those flat earthers up for good, and it was a satellite picture of the curve of the Earth, blah 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 blah. But it wasn't a picture or anything like that. It was just written on a thing from one NASA person to another NASA person, declassified, blah blah blah. But it flat out said, "Yeah, this will finally shut up all those flat Earth people." So this was actually a topic among at least certain, circles back in the 60s. Supposedly, even Mark Zuckerberg, when he was in college, was promoting the flat Earth in the 90s or early 2000s, whenever he did that. But yeah, it's always been around, at least among certain circles.
Well, it's always been around in those sort of, whenever you look at archaeology books or anything like that, they always talk about these stupid people in the past who believed the Earth was flat. But as far as anything else I come across, it wasn't until later on that I actually come across all the proofs and things like that, which I don't know. Maybe they didn't have those proofs given to them as extensively as what we got them in the last little while.
Well, yeah, the internet changed everything. Us having the ability to, you don't have to be face to face or write a letter and then wait for the correspondence. We can, wake up, have this little thing in our hand, hit a few buttons, and talk to somebody across the plane. You can talk to 100 people at the same time in one little thing with this little thing in your hand.
Yeah, I know, it's sweet, eh?
Yeah, our ability to communicate has really changed the playing field. Totally. When they used to be the only ones who had this type of, control, this type of power, now they've given it to us, and yeah, there's 90+% of the people that don't utilize it, who go and just watch their funny kitten videos and, whichever videos they choose to watch. But there's a lot of people out there now that are sharing information. And it's not just sharing information. We can show a video. I can go take a video with that little thing on my hand, record something, and show someone else and say, hey, go try that and see if it works for you too. We can, it's great. It is a great weapon to have. And I think they're really kicking them. I've said it so many times, I know, but yeah, they would put the internet back in the box if they could. I think they needed us for the internet, though. I think the elites up there that, maybe were born into it, don't care so much about the whole thing, or just riding the coattails of their, forefathers. I think they were bored with the internet the way it was. Just a bunch of white pages with black letters on it that you had to read. And these people can't make stuff. They don't have an imagination. They needed us to make the internet what it was today. We can go in and just see videos or, art and all this stuff. They needed us to build it up for them.
We're the scribes. Yeah, we made the internet. We took all of our shit, all of our information, all of our kindergarten finger paintings, all of our bullshit, and put it out there. We scanned entire libraries of books and put it out there. We uploaded TV shows and movies and music, and we put all that shit out there. And then they just started to compartmentalize us all. Say, all right, here's an echo chamber, and there's an echo chamber, and there's an echo chamber. And now you guys just run around in your little maze, and we'll have fun. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Well, they did do that. That's right. Yeah. And we did create it. I agree with all those things. I don't know. I'd like to see a reversion or, I'd be happy with just information and pictures and, a few things a lesser degree if I could actually get real information. But,
Well, yeah,
you know,
I would
sometimes...
be happy with white pages and black letters only if it was true information.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
90+% of the people out there wouldn't even use the internet if that's all it was. In my opinion.
Having it all written down right there in black and white. That's yeah, that'd be nice. It'd be nice to be able to find it, even if that's all there was. But nope, you got to keep the masses happy, properly distracted. Anyway, here's a 3-minute distraction for you. We'll be right back after these brief messages.
Truth Frequency Radio is your #1 source for news and information without the hate, hype, and fear. We're proud to feature cutting-edge programs like Beyond the Veil with Chris and Cherie Geo, X Squared with Brooks Agnew, Paranormal Portal with Brent Thomas, Jaronism Raw with Jaron and Missa, Fearless with Frank Castle, Strange World with Mark Sargent, The Eye of Ra with Ra Castaldo, The Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray, Ironworx with Josh Corey, The Kev Baker Show, and dozens more. Did you know you can listen from any telephone by dialing 641-793-7117 or call into your favorite show toll free at 833-TFR Live. Uncensored talk and news you won't hear in the mainstream media. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
A military base on lockdown. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Officials at Joint Base San Antonio in Texas have been investigating reports that 2 suspected shooters fired shots from off base, then fled on foot. There are no injuries reported. They're working with San Antonio police to clear the area and search for the shooters. President Biden just landing in England to begin his first foreign trip as president, 3 countries in 8 days and 3 summits with the G7, NATO, and Russia's president, telling reporters before he left this morning it's about strengthening alliances.
This is a high-stakes trip to Europe in which President Biden will be watched closely and assessed on how he manages to unite the G7 and NATO partners and rebuilds alliances that have frayed in recent years.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. Meantime, the president reportedly plans to announce a plan to buy 500 million more doses of COVID vaccine to share with the world. It wasn't about the photo op. That's the conclusion in a new government report that says President Trump's picture at a historic D.C. church was not the reason protesters were forcibly cleared from a park near the White House.
The Interior Department's Inspector General says U.S. Park Police removed crowds protesting the death of George Floyd so that a contractor could get started installing new fencing. About 30 minutes after police used pepper pellets and flashbangs. Then President Trump walked across Lafayette Park to deliver a short speech in front of St. John's Church while holding a Bible. The watchdog report found the clearing of the park was justified, but that law enforcement agencies failed to communicate adequately with each other and did not give sufficient warnings to protesters.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland at the White House. A Trump-era rule that narrowed the types of waterways qualifying for federal protection is now formally under review. The Biden administration filing legal action. The former president said the rules imposed unnecessary burdens on business. America is listening to Fox News.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
What is dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The earth is flat. It's like school in your hand.
dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe the dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there. There was one? There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard.
Come on, man.
Wake up! It's part of waking up. It's Folgers in your cup.
Coffee. And welcome back to a caffeinated episode of the Ironworx, hour number 2, kicking off right now here on TFRlive.com, truthfrequencyradio.com, simulcast across the plane to various platforms. Just give us a search. We're not hard to find, just not often found.
Well, is one of us decaffeinated, though?
I suppose one of us has been
say
decaffeinated. That's right.
We rock both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, well, I fucking paid for it too.
Those caffeine headaches suck, man.
Did you try it?
Yeah.
Did you try tea?
Brutal.
Did you drink any tea when you were detoxing? Or
No.
just water?
No, I had a little bit of a fast. It was sort of my biggest fast yet, and I know it's not, huge, but it was about 45 hours. And so I sort of got off the caffeine and cigarettes and just had a water fast for a while just to break that little spell and try come into a new way of being for a while if I can hold it up. If I don't get stressed out or something give in to my vices again, who knows.
Well,
so could you feel the difference yet?
Well, I only just started eating before the show, pretty much. So I just had some oranges and stuff to break the fast, and then but yeah, I felt better straight away because I was like a bit of a zombie walking around. But it was a good rest, It's like just giving yourself a little break.
Rest. Yeah.
Yeah, letting everything rest and just changing things up. So it was, sometimes you used to have those rests when you'd go out on the night on the town and you get wasted, and then that would be your rest, but you'd still be hungover. But it was like enforced chilling out, you know what I mean? But this is how I did it, the natural way.
Yeah, usually about once a month, I'll go a day. I don't plan on it. My body just kind of tells me. I'll look up, it'll be like 3 p.m, and I haven't eaten anything at all. And I'll be like, oh, okay, today's fasting day, I guess. I won't be hungry. It's not like I'm starving myself or trying not to. I just do it. It's just my body just, doesn't tell me to eat. So I don't really have I used to have a set schedule, like I'd eat right before work, I'd eat at lunchtime, and then I'd go home and eat. But now when I'm not on that schedule, I kind of have my own schedule. So my brain doesn't click in and say, oh, you need to eat right now. I kind of just eat when I'm hungry. So sometimes my body just tells me, hey,
to
you're
do
not
that
hungry.
as well. But mine was really just like running on coffee for the best part of the morning, and then it was like, all right, you've done your dash with the ruining your adrenals. Let's have some food. But yeah, so I just wanted to get back to a healthier state, and I thought going cold turkey is probably the easiest way to do it, and just biting the bullet. So, and I wanted to get rid of the I gave up cigarettes for 2 years and then got back on them for a while. So I was like, I've got to get rid of these again. They're no good. So I just, needed to nip it in the bud. And I thought, might as well just go completely clean for a few days and see if I can just reset the system. And we'll see if it works or not.
It's not as hard when you really want to do it. It's like anything else. You put your mind to it, and it just happens. Like when I quit smoking, I didn't use a patch, I didn't use any gum or anything like that. I said, I'm done. I still had 3/4 of a pack of cigarettes sitting there. I handed it to my buddy. We were playing cards. It was December 12th, or February 12th, 2012. And I just said, I'm done smoking. I quit. And he was like, oh, how long ago did you quit? I was like, right now, just now. I just had my last smoke, 20 minutes ago. He was like, you'll be back. And that was, I love that because that's one of my, my favorite drivers, or I don't want to say favorite, but I love when people tell me I can't do something. It gives me that little extra oomph to be like, you want to make a bet?
I think that's why I'm a cigarette smoker to this day.
Well, the thing is, like, if I've still got probably a half a packet of Rollies or whatever, and I figured if I didn't threw that away or had that, taken away or something like that, then it'd be like more, it's like you can't have it, so then you want it more. But since I got it there, I'm just like, nah, don't worry about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does help knowing that you can if you want to as well. It's not so much of a mental shock. Like when you quit doing something, if it's sitting there and you have the option to do it, then you know you have that option and you're doing it. But when you just don't have it, your brain kind of says,
but you've got to
think about it more.
You need to have it. But like never again, but someday you'll want one. You mean you can't ever like really forever never have one? Come on, surely just one. It's not going to kill you, is it? I mean, not like for never. Come on.
Man, that's the real problem. It's like, there's no worries like quitting. It's just like, just that one on a Friday night or something, why not? Give it a go. You've forgotten about how hard it was to quit. And you just go, that one, and it's like, oh, that was so good.
Yeah.
And then you fall down the trap.
You need to drink that tea before you get to that point. I think if you can get the chemicals out of your system, and then to help break your psychological dependency, I think that a nice mushroom tea will help you with that. Because you've got that chemical dependency where your body's just been, running on caffeine or, taking its daily dose of nicotine and just gets used to it. And once you can break that chemical addiction, you still got to break that psychological. And I think that mushroom tea would really help break the psychological addiction.
Yeah, well, that's right. Like, I think I've done a lot, when I quit for 2 years, I mean, that was very psychological. I think the ties then were broken. So maybe doing it again now is not so harsh. And really the nicotine's out of your system in 3 days. So.
And do you know what it was that triggered you back to smoking after 2 years? Because as soon as you can identify stress. That, and so now stress is going to trigger me back to smoking. So now what I need to do before I get stressed is to figure out what I'm going to do when I get stressed so that I don't smoke. That way, when the stress comes, you've already got the solution to the issue of, I want a cigarette, but what the fuck am I going to do because I don't want to smoke? You've already got that answered. So you don't, I think there's going to be a proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
What do you recommend? Whiskey or... No, I don't know.
No, when you're quitting cigarettes, whiskey, I would not recommend.
Right, probably not.
No, I was joking. When you're stressed, what are you going to do instead?
Maybe
just don't get stressed.
A very specific breathing pattern. Maybe you just like, this is my cigarette craving, and I'm going to breathe in this particular way. This is my caffeine addiction. So I'm going to breathe this way to get me through my caffeine temptations.
And there's
that's
actually
right.
something to that. Go ahead, Lucas.
Well, that really does work. Breathing and letting the emotions actually come up into your mind and saying, well, you're not going to suppress the emotions by doing a habit over the top of it. You're actually going to breathe into it and release them like you would, say, in a yoga stretch or something like that. You say, well, this muscle's hurting and it's tight or whatever, and then you start breathing into that muscle to let it release. But yeah.
There's a lot to say about deep breathing. All these special forces guys here in the U.S., they train them. Before they go to do something that is, not intuitive to a human being, like killing another human being with a knife, standing a foot away from them, the stuff that these special forces guys are trained to do, they all take, it's part of their training, 8 very big, deep inhales through their nose, 4 seconds, release for 4 seconds, a nice long exhale, and they do that 8 times. And it puts them in a state of focus. And this works. When I'm watering my garden, I'll go down there and I got to carry the 2 5-gallon buckets up the hill. And I've learned that if you keep your focus on your breathing, your body, like, it doesn't get tired. You don't get to where you have to put the buckets down. As long as you keep those deep inhales and those long, it's like every exhale, you get so much more energy. Those nice, I had that problem. I still do. I'll hold my breath when I'm doing something. I stop breathing. And you can't do that. That's so counterintuitive to what your body actually needs. But a lot of times when I would be lifting something heavy, I would stop breathing. It's like, and you just don't breathe anymore. You can't do that. I never knew how to breathe right.
Pain too.
But
when people get hurt, they hold their breath. And that's the exact opposite of what you should do. If you breathe, you can get the blood circulating, you can get all the chemicals in your brain moving, and it reduces the pain. Holding your breath is what makes it hurt worse. You have to be able to learn to breathe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Remo Williams, you breathe like a baboon. That was the first thing that he taught him how to do to become a master of Sun, or whatever he calls it. I forget. Sun Tzu? No, not Sun Tzu. Whatever it was. Shunanji. Yeah, he was a master of Shunanji, and he said to be a master, you have to know how to breathe. You have to be able to breathe and keep your body going. But yeah, the special forces
and that's
guys,
what that.
I've heard bunches of them say it. That I took my 8 deep inhales and exhales, and it does, the color changes, the way you see things changes, you hear more. All your senses are now at their peak because they have all the oxygen they need to do their functions. Or electricity. Maybe we're just breathing in electricity. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. But whatever it is, it energizes you to where you are now at your peak performance as far as your senses go.
Shout out to Tommy for the super chat.
Hey, much love, Tommy.
And he did drop a link here in this chat for the call, actually, Zach, with the Flat Earth Puppet Show with Elmo in it. So he got you the link here in the chat.
Yeah, Saturday's show, episode 2, was awesome. Loved it, Tommy. Keep it. I'm really digging the magic tricks. I love how at first you're like, well, that's not that great of a magic trick. And then they that blam, and you're like, oh shit, how did that happen? Yeah. Those are my favorite type of magic tricks where you're like, well, that wasn't that great. And then they flip all the cards over and none of them are the cards that he had before. And yeah, it's amazing.
Well, I've seen one dude, he just had one card and he just changed the picture on it. He's just like shook it up and down. I'm like, yeah, well, that's bloody good. That is, because it's one thing having another couple of cards or moving your hands around, but he's just got the one card and shook it, and that was it. So
Yeah, sleight of hand is amazing.
Yep.
I've always been scared to learn how to do that stuff. And that's I am the worst magician in history, because as soon as I am done showing the trick to somebody, I'm showing them how I did it. You know, we were at
that'll get you
Can't be
killed.
doing that.
Yeah, some
we were in
places you'll die.
Denver at the Flat Earth International Convention. I think that was 2018, and I was, we were all doing magic tricks, and I was showing people, and I had explained to them, now I'm going to show you how I did it, but there's a reason I'm going to show you, because it's just a deception. And if, I show you how I deceived you, maybe next time when somebody's actually trying to deceive you that way for real, you'll see it. And, it's kind of like a puzzle, seeing magic tricks. There's always a way they're doing it. You just have to figure out, the when and the how. Those little pieces that make it work. And 99.9% of magic is just sleight of hand. It's, the hands can move faster than the eyes can register, and you can do things in between those little half seconds if you're fast enough. And but showing people how you do things will then strengthen their aptitude at figuring out how people are deceiving them. And that's why I always tell everybody how I do it.
Well, speaking of quick hand movement, I watched this video the other day. I don't know how it turned up in my feed. Sometimes I get random stuff, and I'm just like, what's that? Why not? Someone mowing a lawn or whatever it is, something stupid. But anyway, there's this guy doing I think it was like a 4-inch punch, and man, he was punching through bricks and
1 inch,
all these different things.
1 inch.
No, is it?
Yeah, I watched it too. I saw the same one. Bruce Lee is actually the one that sort of perfected the 1 inch punch and brought it into the mainstream. It was primarily sort of a kung fu type move. Wing Chun essentially was like Chinese boxing. What boxing is to America is what Wing Chun was to China, where they just sort of get these guys
they
together
have
to compete.
The dummy, don't they? With they work on the dummy to do their Wing Chun.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that really comes from, isn't it? Yeah.
The Mook Chong. Yeah. I was a big fan of Kung Fu there for a long time, specifically Wing Chun Kung Fu. But yeah, that 1 inch punch was perfected, I think, and really brought into the mainstream by Bruce Lee. But that cat was doing some pretty amazing things with his 1 inch punch.
I know I was watching some of that stuff and like trying to super slow-mo it to catch. But no, I think that guy was really doing that. Like breaking bricks in half from 1 inch away.
Yeah.
That's just
it's pretty nuts. Well, Bruce Lee was pretty good with the nunchucks playing ping pong. You ever seen that video clip? That was awesome.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that clip, and that one is definitely not real.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
No. I was like,
no.
I was going to say, that's pretty bloody good.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's an awesome clip, but definitely not real.
Yeah, I was thinking like it was going to be pretty hard to because you got a round stick to aim the.
Yeah, you know how perfect you would have to be.
Yeah. That's why I was always tripped out by it. I'm like, wow, this guy must be,
black.
He must be able to catch the fly with the chopsticks and stuff.
Now, if you want to see a good nunchuck video, is watch the little kid imitating Bruce Lee in his living room. That's an amazing nunchuck video.
The little yellow outfit with the black stripe down the side.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
Dressed like him and everything, just matching him move for move. It's really good. That little kid is pretty amazing too.
Well, that little kid is probably a man now. That was a while ago.
Close to it, probably. Yeah, you're right.
I wonder what he's doing. Probably up on some.
Probably making YouTube videos.
Yeah, probably.
Making $12,000 a month. Putting YouTube videos out.
So is there the guy out there on top of the mountain somewhere training every day that's like 110 that could whoop a hole? You know, you throw 10 Navy SEALs barehanded at him and he'd just knock them all out with one punch. You think that guy exists?
I don't know. Probably. There's got to be some people in the Himalayas or somewhere like that that are just, at a whole different level of consciousness than probably what we are. It's got to be.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, look, I completely believe there's some guy in the Himalayas at a whole other level of consciousness. Look, no, I'll totally feed into your dreams right here. I'm completely convinced there is some guy in the Himalayas operating at a whole nother level of consciousness than we are. What I don't think is if you throw 10 special forces at him, he's just going to be able to whoop all their asses and knock them out in one punch. He may be operating at a higher level of consciousness, but I don't think he's going to be doing supernatural things. Right? I think a lot of these monks up in the mountains that are like taking swords and bending them underneath their chin and watch out, I'll just take it and I'll bend it and I'll do all sorts of stuff and see how my body resists this pain. That's all magic tricks, I think. I don't think there's anything supernatural about it. I think it's solving problems outside of the box and presenting it as if you solved it within a predefined box already. I don't think there's anybody really learning much of anything.
Yeah, exactly. With those especially those Tibetan ones where they showcase, doing the tricks with the swords and things like that. Like they'll have one where they got like a javelin and they'll put it up against their throat and the other guy looks like he's bending it with his throat. While, little do you know that the other guy at the other end is bending that stick down. So it's really putting pressure in a different spot. So not that it isn't dangerous at the same time, but yeah, it's not legit.
And that's why I don't think that I think the idea of it presented in the movies of the old Kung Fu master isolated up in the mountains, training the occasional wanderer who happens upon his little arena. It'd be awesome. I just don't think that that's going to be the case.
And if you're thinking about someone sitting on a mountaintop at a higher consciousness, they're not going to be really into fighting as much. You know what I mean?
No. Mm-hmm. And those Tibetan monks, not for nothing, haven't done shit against China except get killed. I mean, how many Tibetan monks have been massacred by the Chinese? Thousands, tens of thousands. All their martial arts and amazing spear bending tricks didn't do fuck all against the Chinese. So again, I don't think 10 special forces guys against one monk in the mountains. I don't think the monk stands a chance. Practically speaking.
No.
Not to dash your dreams.
Yeah. I could definitely see how a lot of that is just stories. I want to be like Wang, though. I want to hold electricity in my hands.
Who's Wang? That guy in that
Trouble Little China.
My Wang, your Wang, anybody's Wang, really.
No, Big Trouble Little China. When he shows the guy, when he's asking him about magic, the reporter's asking him about magic, and he holds his hands apart and shows him lightning bolts connecting through his fingers. And he's like, that was nothing. I've always wanted to do that. Are those guys out there, Josh? Don't kill my dreams.
Don't know.
I have yet to see anything that convinces me. I don't think there's anybody with special chi powers lighting fire to sawdust in their mouth. I don't think there's anybody with special chi powers igniting bits of paper in their hand. Is there? Maybe. I don't think.
Doubtful.
Doubtful. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's improbable.
Yeah, I agree. But are these the thoughts that mean that we will never do it? That doubt is that the only thing holding us back is doubt?
Possibly. And as children, and because, children tend to be more of an open receiver and sort of more open-minded. And I remember thinking this exact sort of similar thought, Zach, that because I can think that I will, and if I practice, then I will. And it never happens. There are things that you can no matter how much you want to be true, and no matter how much time you spend practicing, ain't never going to happen. And I think shooting
Hey everyone, it's
electricity.
Chris Gio, founder of Truth Frequency Radio and host of Beyond the Veil. The mainstream media and establishment are running scared right now, and they've prominently featured TruthFrequencyRadio.com as number 89 on the federal government's hit list, also known as the fake news list, which is essentially a list of sites slated for censorship on Facebook, YouTube, Google, and other social media. Now is the time for you to get involved. Share your favorite TFR shows far and wide on forums and social media. Tell your friends and family about your favorite shows. If you're a business owner, get in touch with us to feature your product or service right here on TFR. And if you haven't done so already, become a TFR supporter now and get unlimited commercial-free downloads in high quality. Visit truthfrequencyradio.com/sign-up. Thank you for making TFR the leader in independent and uncensored talk radio. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at naturesyouth.com. Naturesyouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at naturesyouth.com. That's naturesyouth.com. That's naturesyouth.com.
For 5,000 years, the world was ruled with wooden ships by one man. 242 years ago, a small group of free men crafted a new nation built on liberty and freedom. Global elites have been fighting to destroy this new nation called America ever since. Based on actual events, Charm of Favor tells a true story of how they corrupted the election system. They infiltrated federal agencies and murdered witnesses, judges, and even presidents to keep from being caught. Now, the largest and wealthiest crime syndicate the world has ever known has been drawn out of the shadows. They have killed hundreds of Americans and recently attempted to assassinate half our congressmen. Still, they escape arrest through an almost supernatural charm of favor. Read Charm of Favor and be prepared to open your eyes to what may lie just around the corner. Charm of Favor is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
message of importance to millions of people who are continually pale and washed out, weak and run down. Doctors will tell you that these conditions are often caused by a deficiency of iron. The iron you need to keep you physically fit and mentally alert. Medical studies show that 2 out of 3 women and many, many men lack the daily iron your body requires in a form your body can easily use and put to work. Every dose gives you more than your daily minimum iron requirement.
We are weak. We are weak. We are not alone. We are striving for more.
So if you're not getting the iron your body needs,
We are weak. We are not alone.
if you feel weak, run down, and are easily upset,
We are striving for more.
start taking iron today.
Balls! Don't touch those! Don't you ever touch my balls without asking.
And welcome back for the fourth and final segment of the Ironworks, kicking off right now. Zach, Lucas, and Josh hanging out with you this morning. Missing Walter?
Mm-hmm. Shout out, Walter.
Robert in chat asked, "No, have no sphere today. Is that correct?"
That is absolutely correct, Robert. Taking a rare...
Yeah, Josh is abandoning us.
Not even really. Well, the plan was... the plan, I tried. The plan was to completely abandon you. But my son got a job and is working on the weekends now, so we are not going to go camping like was the intention. So I figured, since I still told everybody that I was not going to be here, even though I will be, might as well go ahead and take the night off. It's been a while since we've taken a night off for no particular reason. I think we even planned to when we got our channel ban over there on YouTube. And we had to go back to our backup channel. I think we'd planned to at least take maybe 1 or 2 weeks off, get a little vacation in there, since there was that weird little hiccup anyway, and we just never did. Even when we try to take a break, it never really works out very well.
Or we'll take a break and we might as well have went live because we're all sitting there talking anyway.
Yep. Well, I don't know what else to do. Might as well go hang out with the fellas.
That's good.
Yes, Liz, you are correct. We are addicted.
Well, that's sort of it. Like when therapy works for somebody and then your therapist goes out of town and you miss a couple sessions, you feel it. And it's the same way when you take a break from doing the show. It's my therapy that works. And when I miss a couple sessions, I feel it.
So we got pretty well rudely cut off in that last little segment, didn't we? Well, and I was thinking, what about telekinesis, or the one where you're doing the too nice for rice sort of stuff, or the rice experiment? Sorry, Zach. isn't that supernatural powers?
I would say, yeah. I would say that is what used to be known, and now it's been hidden from us. Our true powers, our ability to not so much, I wouldn't say move, like lifting up objects, even though maybe we can. I don't know. But we can, if we learn how to interact with this living matter, everything is alive. If you can connect with it and speak to it, and maybe not tell it to do something, maybe they ask it to do it. I don't know. But I think there's some way to interact with these things, like plants. If you love a plant and talk to it and this and that, and you ignore another one and you give them each the exact same amount of things, the one that you talk to and love, it'll be bigger and healthier. It's weird. Don't know why it happens. So I don't know if it's so much, demanding that they do it, but more or less working with it to complete some task, maybe. I don't know.
Well, everything has consciousness, as far as we're told. Everything is. So it's just a matter of connecting consciously to that thing, I guess. I don't know how it works.
Well, I know in alchemy, this was, intent was a big part of alchemy. And when they moved it over to chemistry, they removed that part of it. They said, okay, we're going to figure out how it works when anybody does it, taking these chemicals and mixing them together. What's the reaction that happens? And that's as far as we're going to go. We're going to remove ourselves from the equation completely. Where alchemy was totally different. You put your intent into it, and the outcome was kind of based on your intent as well. Where now they've just removed it so much that there is no intent. These people aren't thinking about the people that they're trying to help or hurt while they're making these products anymore. They're thinking about the TV show that was on last night or something like that.
The other thing I find interesting when looking at alchemy is that or their philosophies, in a sense, is that they seem to understand that everything came from this, unity first and then divided. So it was a matter, it wasn't just here's all your divisions of elements and this is how they interact. It was like, well, at the top of this sort of pyramid, if you like, of all these different elements that we have, at the very top of it, there was a singular element that everything come from. So it's this idea of, it divides out it's almost like a scale of music, you know what I mean? So it starts at the first note and then, slowly works its way down. So I just find that attitude.
That's like one of the oldest type of alchemies that we know of. Those were the rules in Hermetic alchemy. Yeah. All is from one.
And that idea, I think, even just having that as a part of yourself is that you're not separate. You're a unity at the very sort of foundation of our world, in a sense. Everything is unified. Is a completely different perspective from the modern scientist, and that's where we end up with all these different problems. And that's what I've been trying to get back to when I do look at my stuff. It's like, where's the unity? Where's these cycles? Where do they keep spinning around? And each thing provides purpose for the other thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what they've removed from us. Zombie Snoop brought up an interesting thought. What if, these monks on the mountaintop, what if at one time they could do all this magical stuff, because we believed they could. And as we lost our belief in them, they lost their abilities because we believe so strongly, so many people believe so strongly that this cannot be done, that nobody can do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can't see a problem with that. I mean,
it's obviously not a globe, and more people believe in a globe than it being a plane, and it didn't switch to a globe. So when does our ability to transmutate this world around us stop? Is there a fundamental like zero where you can't go negative? Like, this is as far as you go. You can't manipulate anything past this point.
well, I think, what you're getting at is, are you going to be working with nature when you actually start to gain these powers? And I would say the closer you get to being connected with this natural world in multifaceted way, that's when you're going to start expressing these powers, and they're not going to be something like manifesting a spinning globe, which doesn't make any sense. You get it would be antithetical to nature itself.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it has to stay within the laws of nature.
Yeah.
You can
boosting
bend
health
certain
or
things,
boosting, yeah.
you just can't break them.
Well, you're not going to defy the very laws. You're going to work with the laws that are beneficial and do things, that speed up the process in a sense, or boost it up. Yeah, I think we can do that.
Well, explain how a false flag works in this particular realm of thinking. Say, Sandy Hook. If most people believe Sandy Hook happened the way they say it did, wouldn't that mean that it did happen the way they said it did?
I got it. Things that already happened cannot be changed. Once you do something, it's done. It's happened. No matter how many people want it to go back and reset that one event, it will never, ever happen. Certain things.
No, you can't change the past.
Yeah, that's fixed. Like zero. So it doesn't matter how many people actually believe in something. Things are what they are. Now, what led up to Sandy Hook, before it happened, if you could see the future, then maybe you could use this intent power to change things. But intent will never change the past.
So during that Las Vegas massacre where the guy managed to carry all those weapons up to this hotel room through the Las Vegas hotel without getting on any cameras whatsoever, and started shooting down at those crowds of people where most of them thought they were under attack by large groups of people because there were all these gunshots coming from all around and not just this one window. It was happening live. It happened at the time. So does that mean what most people thought? I mean, a majority of the people had no clue what was going on.
Yeah, but it's all about the person actually doing it.
So as long as one person has the intent and knowledge, it will outweigh the mass knowledge.
Well, yeah, they didn't go there and intend for that man not to shoot them. That never even came into their minds. You don't go to a place and say, I will not be shot here by some lunatic today.
And that's really interesting.
There was no intent to try to stop it.
That's one of those.
Somebody knew that guy and he told them about it, and then they were sending out some kind of intent. Maybe that could alter that person's actions. But no, I don't think, if you're not aware that an action is about to take place and you can't focus and put your intent into that, then I don't think you can really affect it. Your intent wouldn't be that strong, you know?
So, say 30,000 people whose intent is to just enjoy their night watching a concert would not affect the intent of one man who wants to start shooting?
No.
Yeah. Don't know. I don't know how far our reach goes. You know, when you see someone like Wim Hof or something, that their training, intent, and all that sort of stuff has gone into their special abilities in their own sort of world. I think that's more to the point rather than manipulating each other's worlds in a sense.
And I'm playing devil's advocate here just a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
Because I do definitely think that individually even we can make supernatural things happen. Do I think we're going to be able to manipulate and control the elements of nature within the very palms of our hands? Probably not. But do I think that we've got enough power to make even minor influences? Can we nudge reality a little bit? I think absolutely. I think when certain things align, we have more power over our surroundings than we do otherwise. And I think that there are people in charge who know what those elements are and how to align them and can manipulate us en masse. It's a lot harder to do individually, but when you are a politician, when you are someone who is in front of millions of people, you can learn to control it. Like, well, when you're on stage performing, you get that energy, you get that vibe. Let me say, hey, ho, everybody put your hands in the air. And how many people put their hands in the air? Fucking everybody does. They learn to how to manipulate that energy and the elements that it takes. And it's really hard to walk out on stage and just control the energy. That's why you have warm-up comedians, you have warm-up acts, you have opening acts, because you have to build that energy. You can't just walk in and say, boom, here it is. And I think as humans and schooling and the conditioning, that's sort of what we expect. We want that instant gratification of being able to say, okay, I want lightning at my fingertips. And I'll spend 6 months trying to force lightning out of my fingertips. We don't understand the steps it gets to go from A to Z. We miss everything in between. And so we sort of have that mentality. Well, I tried it. I had A and I had Z and nothing happened. So it must not be real. But we didn't do any of the B through Y.
Yeah, it's like baking a cake with just taking a bag of flour, a carton of eggs, and a thing of milk and putting that in the oven and expecting to get a cake out of it. You didn't go through all the stuff in the middle, to, you know, the mixing and this and that and turning the oven actually on and all that kind of stuff. If you don't go through the steps and the processes to get from A to Z, yeah, there is no just snapping your fingers and being at Z.
Right. You're busy trying to plant the cake seed so that you can grow a cake tree and harvest your cake when it's ready. But that's not how cakes are made. But they don't tell you how cakes are made. They might show you cake trees on television. So you're trying to figure out how to grow your cake tree. And the elites are busy fucking laughing at you while they popping shit in the oven and taking shit out of the oven.
Yeah, well, I think that's really it. It's like those sort of manifestations or that sort of way of working with your own consciousness is like a language, and I just think we don't really have that. Haven't been taught that language. That's for sure.
My sister believed for the longest time when she was young that pasta grew on trees, like the commercials. There was that, I forget what commercial it was, some pasta commercial where all the people out there just pulling pasta off the trees. And she's like, so are there different, I remember, I don't know, she was like 6 or 7. She asked my mom, are there different types of pasta trees then? like a linguine tree and a macaroni tree, and that's when my mom had to talk with her that that's just a commercial. Pasta doesn't grow on trees.
No.
But yeah, what? I don't know.
Me either.
I think their long-term plans, like to change the masses. Maybe that's why it takes so long. Maybe they have their little secret groups that have all these little secret rituals and this and that yearly or monthly or whatever, weekly. And certain people get together, and maybe it does take, a decade of doing an hour of intent a couple times a week by thousands or millions of people to change things on a mass scale. And maybe it does take like a decade to do that.
Like you do see a bit of the intent, even in the way they construct the words, and if you do the gematria for, say, social distancing or mask, or even the COVID-19, you come up with all these different certain numbers that have certain sort of relationship to old ideas, basically. So you can see that intent in the way that they actually constructed the narrative and the words that they use for this whole magic spell, in a sense. So I think they are using a type of magic, maybe through this numerology, or I don't know what just a number of different mechanisms, I think.
I think that's right. I think you can only really nudge it a little bit. But if you can figure out a bunch of different ways to nudge it just a little bit, then you can really start to make some real change around you. And I think that's what they've been doing, is collecting all these little ways to nudge.
Yeah, and it's like preconditioning. That's why we have all of the predictive programming. You're preconditioning the population to actually get used to these ideas. So, if that's not, basically fucking with people's intent, I don't know what is. If you're putting secret predictive programming into the things that they're watching, I mean, isn't that a sly manipulation of intent?
Yeah.
We got about 2.5 minutes left. I want to take one of those and do a little bit of focused breathing, intentional breathing, and take a minute. Liz in the chat reminded us that Mark Devlin's doing another mass meditation on 7 at 7 p.m. GMT, I believe. So we'll probably go live for that, or at least make an attempt to, once that happens on 7/7. But for the show, I want to maybe just try some of that focused breathing and see if we can't focus our intent with some breathing and positive vibes. Again, headed out there towards not just Baldini, but all those people out there suffering and hurting and going through emotional turmoil and not sure where to go with it or how to deal with it, especially in today's day and age. So I don't know. We'll just take a minute. Was it Zach? In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4? What's that, 12 seconds?
Yeah, I don't know if they hold it. I think they just go in and out. Really don't think. Yeah, he said they even talked about that specifically. One of these Navy SEALs, he's like, you don't hold it. You just inhale for 4 and then exhale. It's like just a deep, normal breathing.
Interesting. All right. Well, that cuts down the time quite a bit then.
Yeah.
All right. We'll just be quiet and focus up.
Get your breath in.
I reckon that ought to do it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure. We will see you right back here on Tuesday. Reminder, there will be no Have No Sphere this Friday. So have yourselves a great weekend. We love you. Be good. Be well. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Good stuff.
Yeah, it was.